Should you purchase a home in Omaha in 2023? What if prices go down? Maybe it's better to wait and see. Well, that's going to be the subject of today's video, and we're going to get started right now. Hi, my name is David Matney with Nebraska Realty. I'm a local realtor here in Omaha, Nebraska. Now let's jump into today's topic. Almost every day I have conversations with potential buyers looking to relocate to Omaha, Nebraska, or maybe the first-time buyer who's thinking about buying their first home. And the question on their mind is, should I buy a home now or should I wait? That's a great question. Now, it really depends on your situation. People are afraid of buying because what happens if prices tank? And every day you look on the news or you look on YouTube and somebody out there somewhere is the next real estate Nostradamus who is predicting the next real estate market crash. First, you have to look at your time frame. How long do you plan on living in your next home? Now, in my opinion, if you don't see yourself living in the next home for the next 2 years, then I believe renting at that point is a better option. Now, if you see yourself living in your next home for at least the next 5 years, the next question is, can I afford a home? Now, some folks just simply can't buy because of their financial situation. And you have to look beyond the down payment, the closing costs, and the monthly payment. The nice thing about the current market is that some sellers are now willing to pay for some of the buyer's closing costs. And there's other down payment assistance programs out there, programs such as NIFA, which stands for Nebraska Investment Finance Authority. And NIFA is a program that assists first-time buyers to get into a home for as little as $1,000. Now, if you want to learn more about NIFA, I did a video on NIFA, and I'll leave a link in the description below. But even with NIFA, buyers need to plan for the cost of maintenance. Now, older homes have older roofs. They have older furnaces, windows, and air conditioning units. Those items break, and you need to have a plan in place in order to pay for those items. Home ownership costs money. If you're buying a home, you're also going to need reserves because life sometimes gets in the way. You want to make sure that you have some sort of emergency fund. Will you ever be 100% completely ready to buy a home? And the answer is going to be no. Now, if you're planning on buying a home and you really don't want to do a home inspection because you really don't have the money for a home inspection, then in a case like that, then you're better off renting. Now, if you're buying your first home in this market, you're going to have to make some concessions. Maybe it's not the perfect location. Maybe it needs some work. It's not going to be perfect. This isn't HGTV where a first-time home buyer has a budget of $700,000. Remember, this is your first home and not your final home. It's a stepping stone. The key to building wealth is to start. You want to start to build equity in your first home in order to purchase your next home. You want to get out of the renting cycle. And you want to be very careful about trying to time the market. Trying to time the market is a fool's errand. You're never going to know the perfect time to buy a home until that time is passed, and then you're looking back. Back in 2019, the buyers I was helping was not saying, hey, I need to buy a home now because in the next 2 years, prices are going to appreciate 40%. Back in 2019, buyers had the same concerns. Real estate is a cyclical business. Prices go up and they do come down. Now, if they go down, just like a stock, you only take a loss if you have to sell while the price is down. If you look at prices over time in the Omaha area, prices go up as time goes by. My very first investment property back in August of 1990 was for $10,000, and I closed on the day before Iraq invaded Kuwait during the first Gulf War. Now, back then, that was the first start of the 24/7 news cycles. There wasn't a YouTube back then where they had the real estate crash bros on YouTube, and there wasn't social media. I purchased a property. My payment, which is principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, was $137. Now, I rented it for $400 a month. It worked out okay. Now, looking back, I was completely clueless as to the market at that time. I bought a property based on what I could afford at the time, and for the most part, it was in pretty decent condition, and the payment was affordable. The finances made sense. Here's the other thing about buying a home. You want to remember why you're buying a home. There are more than financial reasons in order to purchase a home. Investment property is different. However, are you buying a home to put your kids in a new school district? Do you want more space for your family? Are you relocating to Omaha, Nebraska for a better quality life and a promotion? It's hard to put a price on your kids being in the right school or a great quality of life. Remember, you want to look at the big overall picture. Are you going to be completely 100% satisfied with the home you purchase? And the answer is no. I don't care if it's $100,000. I don't care if it's $700,000, new construction or existing. Your dream home is a moving target. The perfect home does not exist. After you move in, you're going to see things that you didn't notice, or you're going to notice things that you're like, oh, I didn't see that before. And that's just the way it is. And you don't want to fall into this trap either. And that is putting yourself in a position of buying too much home, buying a home that you can't afford. Okay. Just because a lender says you qualify for $300,000 doesn't need to mean you have to go out and buy a $300,000 home. You want to stay within your budget. Too many people are house poor, and that's very stressful. And as we have seen in the past 2 years, inflation takes hold, and now prices go up, and now you're forced with some really tough choices. Now let's talk about the flip side to this. And that's say you currently own a home and you want to sell because you're tired of dealing with all of the maintenance that comes along with owning a home. You want to think really long and hard before you do that. And here's why. When you buy a home, your payment is fixed with the exception of taxes and insurance. When you rent always keeps pace with the market. Let's say you've owned a home for 20 years. Now you go to sell and then you rent for 10 years. Your rent more than likely is going to go up over the next 10 years. And at the end of those 10 years, you own nothing. If you decide to stay and keep your home instead of selling, your home is going to appreciate in value along with the market. And 10 years from now, you're going to own that home free and clear, and you're going to have an asset that is going to hopefully appreciate. I get it. I see people do this. And in my opinion, it's a mistake. In this sort of situation, you could sell, and then maybe what you could do is downsize to a villa or to a condo where your maintenance is taken care of. And now I'll bring up another situation where you want to be careful not to sell. And that is, don't sell your home and have the automatic assumption that you're going to be pre-approved for your next home. You want to talk to a lender first before you decide to sell. Because if you put your home on the market and you accept a contract, that is a legally binding contract. You're screwed at that point. You're forced to sell, and you're going to be stuck being a renter. So if you're going to sell, make sure you talk to that lender first.